In this video, I'm getting a little personal with all of you guys, and I'm telling you my story of how I found out I had ADHD at the age of 26. I'm going to tell you how I was able to overrule all of the symptoms that I noticed growing up and how I actually changed things when I found out I had ADHD at the age of 26. Hopefully, it's something that it will inspire you. There is something in this video that you will find useful. If you do, please make sure you mention it in the comments. I would love to read your comments at the end of the video. Thank you so much. Let's get started. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Seppi and I'm passionate about health, nutrition, weight loss, and living with ADHD. As someone who has personally lost over 50 pounds and understands the challenges of living with ADHD, I'm excited to share my experiences, knowledge, and tips with you to help you on your own health journey. My videos are all about providing practical, evidence-based information and strategies that you can implement into your daily life to improve your health, optimize your nutrition, manage your weight, and thrive with ADHD. I'm so excited you're watching this video. I would really appreciate if you like, subscribe to my channel. It does really help my channel grow. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Unfortunately, I can't really tell you much about my childhood because I grew up in such a hectic environment. It was very hard for me to really grasp what was going on around me, so I don't have a lot of memory of it. But what I can tell you, there are a few things that I noticed that made me very different now that I look back. I was very different growing up, and I'm going to share that with you. Number one thing I found is that I was biting my nails aggressively, especially when I was nervous, and I still do to this day. That's why I always get my nails done. So I always have them done, and because when I'm editing or when I'm concentrating on something, if I'm studying or stressed out, I'm always biting out my nails. So this is something that I grew up with and I'm kind of used to. I'm trying to manage it. Hopefully it is getting better and I'm working on it, but it's something that has been with me all of my life. I also remember when I was younger, if I had a piece of watermelon and it was a cold watermelon and I was chewing it, I had to chew the right side and the left side equally, and I had to cut it in even pieces. For example, if I had 3 pieces of watermelon, I would do right side, right side, and my left side was missing a piece. I would get upset. I would go to my parents and ask for an extra piece so I could just kind of balance it out. And they found it very cute. But then after a while, like now that I'm looking back at it, it was all sensory issues, sensory overload issues that I was dealing with. Another thing related to sensory overload that I noticed and I remembered was the fact that I remember one time a teacher came to our house because it was such a problem that I was picking out a veggie all the time and I was always very uncomfortable in my clothes. And they were wondering if my clothes were dirty or what was the problem. I remember my mom used to always wash and iron my clothes every single day. So I had a brand new pair of clothes to wear every single day. So I wouldn't experience that, but I still did. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. It actually got a little less as I grew up. But if I am in uncomfortable clothing, I can't stand it at all. Like I need to get out of it. And I'm not like other people who can put up with uncomfortable clothing. To be honest with you guys, I changed my clothes 4 or 5 times during the day. Even still now, I get tired of it. I don't like the energy of the clothes and I need to get rid of it and change it. So it's something that I still deal with. It doesn't really bother me as much, so I don't really pay much attention. I like changing my clothes and I've been doing that for all my life. And I think it's really cute and fun. That's a positive side of it. So I don't let it bother me. But I know if I don't have clothes, if I'm going somewhere and I don't have enough clothes with me, it's a problem and it will bother me. So it's something that I'm still dealing with. So going back to what I experienced as a child, and when the teacher came and talked to my mom, everybody was so concerned about how I was doing in school. And in Iran, there's always a competition between how kids are doing in school. There are always competitions, there are medals, there are so many things going on. Nobody really has the time to really focus on other things and try to figure out why this girl is just so uncomfortable in her clothes. They thought that I had allergies. They took me to the doctors. They gave me new clothes and clean clothes, but nothing really fully fixed it. And they never were able to figure it out because it was such a weird thing that I was doing. I was just a weird kid, I guess. Not a lot of people, I guess, could notice it, but at least that's what I hope. But that's something that, was concerning to one of my teachers, enough for her to come and show up at our house and try to discuss that with my mom. So that's that. Another thing, me being a female and having ADHD, I was extremely shy. So I wasn't hyperactive at all. I wasn't behaving in a weird way for them to get concerned. I was always a very shy kid. And to be honest with you guys, I still am. I'm just very good at pretending and hiding it. It takes me a lot to make these videos. It takes me a lot to talk to people in public, do projects. I had my own business, and that's, I think, something that helps me build my confidence a little bit more. But this is something that's always stayed with me. I was always a very shy kid. I would never speak in class, to a point that the same teacher actually was very concerned, and they were talking to my parents and trying to figure out why I won't speak a word. I would zone out in class, which is a huge sign of having ADHD. And they always ruled it out as, oh, this girl knows all the lessons that you're going to give her. She's already done these readings. She's already done the math at home. She has learned this previously before she comes to class. Because I was always ahead of my class, they thought that I was bored in class and I wasn't listening. I wasn't communicating with other kids, and I was very shy, and I was always in the corner. So that was something that was also very different about me as I was growing up. In terms of socializing, I wasn't a social butterfly, but I remember having a few friends. I remember their names. I have their pictures. I had a few close friends to me, but when I was at school, there were weird things that I would do to attract people to come talk to me. I remember on sunny days, I would carry around a magnifying glass, for example, and I would try to burn leaves at recess. And when kids came and talked to me in elementary school, I would actually make friends with them. Or I would always have a project, maybe with clays or paper napkins or something like that. And that would attract kids, and they would come and talk to me, trying to figure out what I was doing. And that's how I would make friends. Making friends never came naturally to me. I was never into girly girl stuff or doing fun things with them or activities or sports. So I would always have a project. Even when I had friends, I would always have a project or something that involved everybody I was friends with. Or even if we were playing a game, I would come up with a story and have them play with me. So these were the ways that I interacted with people mostly when I was younger. Another very annoying and expensive thing I had to deal with growing up was losing things and misplacing things. My parents were such organized people, they couldn't understand why I turned out to be the way I was. I had to deal with, up until the age of 26, when I found out I had ADHD, I paid very close attention to this behavior and I tried to fix it as much as I could. And thankfully, for the past few years, I haven't lost anything that's been very important to me. So I have designated spots for every single thing that I use. My rings, my jewelry, my keys are always at the same spot. When I come home, I take it from the same spot. My keys are the biggest issue, to a point that right now even I keep forgetting to take them sometimes when I'm very excited to go out, or if I have a few things on my mind, I forget to pay attention to that. But it's always in front of the door. There's a designated spot for it. I leave it there and I take it from there every single time that I go out and come back home. I wanted to talk about losing things and ADHD a little bit in this video because I feel like we get so excited about something that we want to do next. We're so impulsive that we forget to pay attention to what we're doing right now. For example, if I came home and I wanted to do something, I wanted to record a video, I take off my clothes, but I'm so excited to record the video, I leave the clothes just where, on the chair or on my desk or something. So this is a behavior that we have to pay attention. We have to become more conscious. It's something we need to work on. And the only thing that I've noticed that it's helped me is meditation. Ever since I started meditation, you guys, I feel like that's gone so much better. I can't tell you that the problem is fully resolved yet for me. I've only been meditating for maybe a year and a half seriously. Before it was just like here and there, but now a year and a half seriously. It hasn't really changed it 100%, but it's made so much improvement. I'm a lot more organized. I'm a lot more focused on what I'm doing, a task that I'm doing at the moment. I also wanted to talk to you guys about my experience with schooling and taking courses in high school, in elementary school, and in university later on when I came to Canada. I know a lot of people with ADHD struggle with this, but I didn't know if I was struggling or not, because growing up in Iran, a lot of people in school and your family is their 100% focus is for you to get 100% in every single course that you're taking. I was good at math and physics and our language courses, and I wasn't sure if it was something that I really liked, but I learned how to focus and get schoolwork done in that environment, and it really helped me get good marks. I didn't have the option of, failing. I didn't have the option of not doing my work, because everybody's focus was for me to do well, and I did well naturally, right? I remember one time I missed one question on a math test in grade 5, and it was such a big deal in my family that I had to make sure that this never happens again. So I put a lot of pressure on myself in a good way, I guess, to actually focus and study and make sure that doesn't happen again, and I make sure that I ace everything. I remember when I came to Canada, I didn't speak a word of English, and I had to go through my science book word by word, translate every single word, and I wasn't allowed to translate it to Persian. I had to translate it to English and try to understand what it says. But because I was familiar with the concept from Iran, I had already studied them. I was in grade 10 and I was trying to figure out what the book is saying. I could actually spend time. I did spend most of my time on translating. My memorization was my worst subject. So things like history or anything that had to do with memorizing and sciences was just my worst subject. Everything that had to do with solving, like math and physics and language, those I did really well with. But anything that I had to memorize, I sucked at, and I never was good at it at all. And I tried to avoid it all through my education, years throughout university as well. I remember when I was in high school and I had to do a presentation, I would specifically lie at that point and tell them that I had ADHD and I had to be in a private room with them to do the presentation for them. And they were so kind enough to accept that. So I always did my presentation in a room so I could focus on what I was presenting and the teacher. I ruled that out as something that I was shy about and I wasn't confident about my English. So that's what I was thinking at that point. Later on, I found out what the problem was and the anxiety I was experiencing. These were all real things I was dealing with. And it wasn't because I was indifferent, it was because I had ADHD. I remember the first time that I noticed I was different in school and I wasn't doing so well was third or second year university. I was sitting at a lecture, I was working on my homework, and one of the students that noticed I was doing too much work. And for me, too much work was just so normal. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that I remember everything the next day. I had to do the questions over and over again sometimes to make sure that it sticks in there. If you gave me a question right now, if it was a hard physics question, I would sit down and do the question for you. No problem. But when I was in the test, I was doing a test or an exam, I would have a blank mind. Like I wouldn't remember anything. Anything that happened during the exam would distract me completely. If someone coughed or if someone said something, if someone left early, any little thing would distract me so much. I would lose the train of my thought. And sometimes I would actually give up on a test. So later on in third year or fourth year, I started asking professors to actually sit outside of the class and do the test because it was just so hard for me to sit inside. I would get so distracted by anything. I had to be outside, and that helped me so much, just being able to sit outside of the class. So if you have ADHD or you know someone who has ADHD, trust me, getting them a designated space or sending them to someone's office or outside of the class to write the exam or the test will help immensely. I use that in my academy. I gave this tip to so many of my kids that came to my tutoring academy in Helix Academy before and they had ADHD. I told them to always sit outside and be in a private room and write your test there because that's the only way it works. There's no way for us to be sitting in a lecture with 40 people or more. Imagine if you're not doing physics and you're taking economics or something, there are like hundreds of people in your class. There's no way that you could actually sit there and focus on your test because there's so much going on. So make sure you apply these tips. Trust me, it works. Another funny thing that I noticed on exams was that I would always skip through instructions. There's no way I could actually go over the instructions of an exam, even though so many people had reminded me, my parents had taught me to always read the instructions. There's no way I could actually get myself to do that. My mind would just automatically get so excited about writing the exam, I would forget to read the instructions. So a few times in the instructions, it was mentioned that we could leave some of the questions out, and I didn't read it, and I actually answered all the questions. So that was actually pretty funny, and that would happen to me a lot. It's actually pretty kind of hard to sit here and talk about all of my insecurities with you guys. I'm opening up to you because I love every single 1,450 subscribers that I got here. I'm doing this for you. I know you're interested in ADHD, and I know you would love to hear my experience. So I hope this is helping you. If it is, make sure you like and comment below and let me know if you relate on any of the things and symptoms that I've experienced through my life, or you know anybody who struggles with ADHD. I would love to read your comments. It really does help my channel grow. So please don't forget to do that. Thank you so much. So after all of this, I graduated school and I started to shift towards finance. Now, that's the story for another day. I had a huge personality change. I hated working in a physics lab, so I decided to get into finance. I started working at a bank. I got a bunch of certificates and I was working at a bank and I was loving it. Now, if someone like me who is so good at doing calculations and math and physics courses, they must be good with banking and numbers, right? Wrong. Absolutely not. If someone just randomly asked me what the percentage of something was at the bank, I would just go blank. I was very good at doing things in my private and getting things done. That was no problem, but I couldn't really carry on conversations with people and talk about investments and numbers and percentages. So that was very hard for me. So at this point, I know it's not a knowledge issue. So is it anxiety? Is it my low confidence? I was trying to figure out what that was, but I always thought of myself as someone who's low confidence and someone who's shy. So I wasn't gonna, do well all of a sudden now in a bank, right? So that was something I had to work on. At work, if we were playing a game at a community event or something, I was always the one that had to pay extra attention to instructions and I would always miss something. I had to raise my hand and ask questions, or I was always lost. So that was something that I couldn't really figure out. Was I like that stupid? I knew I was smart, but then I was stupid sometimes. So I couldn't really figure out what was wrong with me. I remember I struggled with time management a lot. That was something that was really important to my family. So my dad worked really hard to help me fix that. I actually shared his method in this video with you guys. If you guys want to check that out, I actually used to time myself for each activity. For example, getting ready, I had 5 minutes. I would put a timer on and I would get ready. So I knew what 5 minutes feel like. So I had to train myself. I haven't been late for anything for so long, but it's something that I actually specifically paid attention to and fixed, especially because when I had my own business, I couldn't be late for anything. So I paid extra attention to it. If you make it your goal to never be late, trust me, you could do it. I've done it. You should be able to do it as well. Food addiction is something that I struggle with every single day of my life. This is something I deal with regularly, and I'm so passionate about helping people with ADHD to deal with their food addiction and make better choices in terms of their health and how they're living and conducting their diet every single day. First of all, a lot of people with ADHD or non-ADHD deal with food addiction. It's a crazy addiction and you can't really escape from it. There's ways to manage it and there are ways to become free of it. I personally am working to be completely free of it. I'm struggling with it still. I have learned how to manage my weight, become healthy, live a healthy lifestyle, never eat junk food, always eat at home, but I still feel that addiction with food. Every couple of hours, I feel like I want to eat something. I want carbs, sugar, everything I see I want. So this is something I deal with as someone who has ADHD. If you have ADHD or if you don't, I'm pretty sure there are so many people who can relate to this. I've made so many videos on my channel. If you guys want to go check it out later, I hope that you do and follow me for future videos as well. All of these videos on my channel are all based on my research and my experience and everything I've done to better and lower my ADHD symptoms and live a better, more organized life. I'm so passionate about this because, to be honest with you guys, this is how my story started. When I found out I had ADHD, I started looking into ways to better it. All the researchers are saying that you should eat better, exercise more. So I did that. And my life started changing in ways that I can't ever explain to you guys. There's so many things that have changed on a daily basis that won't fit into one video. Maybe in my future podcast, maybe when I write a book, I talk about it. But it's been transformative. Everything I've done has changed my life in so many ways that I'm so passionate about sharing this with you guys. And I want every single one of you to listen to these tips, everything that I've done, and be inspired and maybe apply it to your life, because that's what I did. I listened to other people giving me these tips when I read these research papers and when I saw these videos and talks on TED Talk. I wanted to apply everything. I want to be one of those people that influence you and become an influencer that can help you become a better version of yourself. When I was trying to lose weight, this is when I was actually trying to start a new business. I was trying to start a tutoring business. So I was dealing with all of the symptoms, but at the same time, I was making it better because I was making a lot of actions by losing weight, eating healthier, stop having cheat meals and things like that. So I was feeling a lot better. I was very energetic. I remember when I was still tutoring students myself, I had to prepare a lesson plan for every single student that I was meeting. And before I go there, I would take notes, I would highlight them, I would color code them because I knew I had ADHD. I had to be organized. I had learned that throughout my life, but I was paying extra attention because this was not a place I could actually screw up. I had to be 100% with my students, and I wanted to pass down those notes to the future tutors that I was going to hire, right? So I remember before I meet a student, I would prepare a whole lesson plan. I would highlight it, color code it, and make sure it was accessible for me. Even though I studied, I memorized it, I knew everything. This was elementary school stuff. But when I went there and I was nervous with the student a little bit, especially when I was starting out, I would forget everything. So I had all of my notes accessible, and I actually made a video about how to take notes when you have ADHD so you could access them better, because I know when you're studying something, you understand it really well. I'm sure you guys are all smart. You can understand the concept, but when it comes down to testing, you have to go back to your notes. So you have to make sure you make notes in a way that you can come back to it and you can actually use it and kind of review it right before your test, right? I talk about that in this video. If you guys are interested, you can obviously, as always, check it out after you're done watching this video. I started as a very low confident and timid person. As I started tutoring more students, I saw their feedback. I saw their parents loving me. I started hiring more tutors, training them how to tutor people. So I found something, I became good at it. And once that happened, I got positive feedback, and that positive feedback gave me confidence. So don't worry if you feel like you're not confident and you have ADHD. Find something, get good at it, and make sure you share it with other people. Once you get good feedback, then you become more confident. You will find it in yourself. I personally believe that confidence doesn't happen overnight. If you notice people that are successful and are confident, they have real confidence. You can tell yourself that I'm confident, I'm this and that, just keep telling yourself and manifesting confidence. It won't happen. It's not voodoo. You know what I mean? So if you find something and you work at it, put the time and effort, and you become good at something, then it will bring you confidence. I also wanted to talk about my social anxiety, my social issues. That was never a problem for me. When I came here in high school, I started making a lot of friends. I was always socially satisfied, so that wasn't an issue for me. But one thing I noticed is that with my interactions, things stayed with me a lot. So if I wanted to regulate my emotions, if I was sad, if I was angry at someone, or somebody would disappoint me for some reason, these feelings would stay with me for a long time. And they would just kind of put me on these roller coaster of emotions every single day. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Things would stay with me for a very long time. For example, if a friend stopped talking to me in high school, this would stay with me for years and years and years. I would have nightmares about it. I would just really get focused and fixated on it, and I couldn't let it go. The only thing that I noticed that has gotten me better at it also is meditation. Recently, I've been a lot calmer. I'm able to let go of things a lot faster. This is something that really helps me out. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire video. If you made it till here, I love you so much. This helps my channel grow. Actually, watching the entire video helps my channel grow because YouTube is going to think that this is a good video. Somebody actually finished watching it and they're going to promote it to other people. So thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment and let me know if you related or if you found anything in common with any of my experience that I shared in this video with you guys. Thank you and see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.